Hello, thank you for joining us once again for the Effective Charter Board Governance series. Throughout this video series, you've been learning more about how to successfully plan for and conduct board meetings for your charter public school. My name is Michael Cousins, and in this third video, we'll be talking more about things to remember when you are handling public comment. Joining me once again are three experts on charter schools, Merrideth Okonkwor, Lindsay Omlor, and Matt Cawood. And Matt, I'm going to start with you for our first topic here. Before you can really take public comment, the board should have identified a way that they're going to manage that comment through some policy. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely, Michael. And the first thing is the board should have a policy. Some boards don't have public comment policies, but they should have one. And the importance of having it is that it provides guidelines for this part of the agenda. And generally, when you have public show up to a meeting, it's because they're passionate about an issue or an item. And that's where things can or should be handled the right way. One best practice that I've noticed at board meetings is some boards will choose to put the public comment policy right on the agenda. And if they don't, whether they do or whether they don't, a good best practice when you do have public to show up for a meeting is that the board president will recite the public comment policy, or at least a summary of the public comment policy. So I'll give you some examples of what that would consist of. First, the board appreciates and values input from the public. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes per person or 30 minutes total. The public should be reminded that they need to stick to the facts and with no personally identifiable information, either students or staff. We should not have that in public comment. Most importantly, I think the board will take comments under advisement, but will not be responding to the public at the meeting. This isn't public question and answer, and it's not public debate. It's public comment. And the board may have the chief executive officer, the principal, or someone from the board respond to the public comment at a later time. So those are kind of some of the items that should be included in board public comment.
It's a good way to set the environment, but as you said, many times members of the public who show up, they're coming there because they have something that they're very emotionally attached to that they want to say and share to the board, and sometimes those policies can be overlooked because they're passionate about what they want to have to say. And that's where the board has to be really good at managing that comment. So Merrideth, what are some really good tips that for our board members on managing public comment?
Yes, and I would agree wholeheartedly with what Matt said about people are usually showing up because they're passionate about something. And as is the board, usually very caring and concerned about what the public is coming there to say. And so for them, it's important to really manage that environment and prohibit anything that could come off as offensive, repetitive, harassing, and they should not be afraid to interrupt if the comment is going beyond the 3-minute policy. If it's too lengthy or personally directed towards someone in the room, the presiding officer should absolutely intervene and call for a recess even if necessary, because we want to make sure that, yes, the public is heard, but the environment maintains its integrity. I would say definitely make sure that they are not afraid to assert their leadership in that scenario and make sure that they keep it to the 3 minutes and as positive as possible.
So those board members, as you said, are passionate about what's being discussed at the school as well. And
yes.
Lindsay, we really don't want necessarily board members to come in with a lot of their own emotions and for their emotions to take over how they're handling public comment. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things that a board can do when receiving public comment is to remain objective, which can be hard to do oftentimes because you're right, it can be very emotionally charged, as Merrideth and Matt pointed out. I think there are 3 important things to remember when you are receiving public comment as a board member. The first and foremost would be that it's not personal, right? And it can often feel that way, especially for a board chair who may be the one that comments are directed specifically towards because they're leading that portion of the agenda, but it really just is not personal. The next thing I think that's important to remember is that you really need to remind yourself what is the purpose of public comment, right? And that helps with remembering that it's not personal. So the purpose really is to give the public an opportunity to be heard about an issue that is important to them. And so this is just a time for listening. And as board members, oftentimes it's tricky to, just sit and just listen, but that's really the purpose of that time on the agenda, and the public deserves an opportunity to be heard. And then finally, I think something that's just important for board members to remember would be that they are representing the school, right? And so a rule of thumb that I often like to remind people is that save your personal feelings, your thoughts about something until you are in your car driving away and your windows are all the way up, or you are home and all the windows at your home are closed, right? So save your personal feelings for later when you are far from school premises. But, we've had issues in the past, for example, where board members have left a meeting and they did a great job in the meeting of remaining objective, but then got to the parking lot and had sidebar conversations about, how they felt about personal issues, and the members of the public left and overheard those things, right? And so remembering that you are still a representative of the school, even if the meeting is adjourned and you're in the parking lot, right? So save your feelings for the car or for home, but while you're in the meeting or on school grounds, that's not appropriate.
Excellent reminder to board members, especially when the meeting's over and we think that we just toss off the hats that we wear in that meeting. So
absolutely.
Thank you once again to our experts, and thank you for continuing to watch our series. Coming up next, we'll continue by sharing some of the common mistakes that boards make and how we can avoid them. We'll see you there.